Well, hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Dray. I'm a board-certified dermatologist, and today I want to talk about what you can do to fix your skin barrier without buying any skincare products. Because let's face it, when your skin is dry, raw, red, rashy, super irritating, it can be tempting to want to run out and buy a new product to fix your skin barrier. While there are many excellent barrier repair creams that really can help quite a bit, without a doubt, and I have a lot of videos reviewing these different creams. In many cases, if we fall for the temptation, however, to try a whole bunch of new serums, etc., well, that can end up making skin barrier issues worse as you are assaulting your already challenged barrier with a whole host of new ingredients, sometimes penetration enhancers that may further irritate your skin. Maybe you're even a lot more sensitive and you're just causing yourself unnecessary discomfort. Today, we're going to talk about what your skin barrier is, signs that it's damaged, and practical things you can do to get it back on track. Your skin barrier refers to the outermost layer of your skin, otherwise known as the stratum corneum. When discussing the skin barrier, it's helpful to have the image of a brick wall in your mind where the bricks are the corneocytes and the mortar is the lipid in between them. This structure is vital to your skin's overall function because it keeps water in and it keeps irritants and microbes out. When the barrier is intact, your skin feels comfortable, hydrated, and overall less reactive. But when your barrier becomes damaged, you may notice the following: stinging, burning, redness, itch, flaking, peeling, tightness. Overall, an increase in sensitivity. Stuff that you normally put on your skin suddenly burns and is very uncomfortable. It may even make you flush. Products you've been using for years out of nowhere are causing you problems. And if you have an underlying skin condition like acne, it can suddenly start flaring quite a bit. Before reaching for another product, it's really important to take a step back and say, why did my skin barrier become compromised in the first place? Common causes include overexfoliating, using too many skincare products, or trying out skincare products that contain ingredients that for whatever reason end up being irritating for you. Over-cleansing, cleansing with hot water, scrubbing the skin. Topical retinoids can cause some barrier impairment in the beginning. Of course, there are contributions from our environment, like the weather. When it gets really cold, the barrier is more inclined to weaken as water exits readily, leaving the skin dry and barrier integrity not quite as robust. Excessive sweat, however, in hot, humid climates on the skin further compromises the skin barrier. Stick that sweat in a skin fold like under your arms or in the abdominal folds, plus the friction of the folds. Well, that right there is a solid recipe for an impaired barrier. So step number one is to identify the root cause, and it's going to differ depending on what's going on with you. Let's take the first step in stopping the irritation. Not only is it helpful, but it ends up being really helpful for your wallet because we're going to take a step back from all of the active ingredients. That includes exfoliants, scrubs, even your topical retinoid you may elect to take a break from at this point, as well as other actives that can be more drying and irritating like benzoyl peroxide or glycolic acid or salicylic acid. Any type of exfoliant for that matter. Why are you exfoliating an impaired barrier? You really should not be. And ascorbic acid serums, fondly referred to as vitamin C serums, well, they really can be irritating as well because of how they need to be formulated in order to remain stable and effectively penetrate the skin. But if you've got an impaired barrier, that may be just a bit too over the top. It doesn't matter if these are good products, they can still be irritating, especially when you have compromised skin. In many cases, getting your barrier back on track might require a temporary pause of active ingredients. Step number two is to simplify your routine. You don't need all of these different steps. If in order for you to do that, you need to turn TikTok off, by all means. That app will have you convinced that everything from your ankle bone to the tip of your nose requires its own dedicated routine of 7 at least different products. Really just stick to the basics: a gentle cleanser, a moisturizer, and a sunscreen for daytime use. That's it. And spoiler alert, that's generally all anyone really needs at most. Some people don't even, in normal situations outside of barrier impairment, even need a moisturizer. Their skin just doesn't ever feel tight or dry. They're unicorns. I'm not like that. But moisturizers become more helpful when you have an impaired barrier because, well, they help to step in. So if you already have these products, which if you watch my channel regularly, I'm willing to bet you do, then you don't need to go out and buy anything else. As long as they're not causing you irritation, keep using them. Step number 3, though, revolves around your cleansing practices. A lot of people are under the impression that they must wash their face or bathe multiple times a day. Many people wash their face, for example, twice a day, and they bathe multiple times throughout the day. Now, sure, there are individual circumstances, skin types, lifestyle situations where bathing a couple of times a day may be warranted, or washing your face twice a day may suit you. Say you have a very oily skin type, you wash your face at night, and then the following morning when you wake up, your face is oily again. You want to wash that sebum off so it doesn't oxidize and irritate your skin. But when you have an impaired barrier, seriously consider dialing back on the frequency of either washing your face and or bathing to no more than once a day. You can wash your face in the shower so you don't double hit your facial skin with repeat water exposure. Even if you don't wash your face in the shower, the steam and the water in there, you might as well take advantage of being in the shower to wash your face. I do that at baseline. Make sure you're using lukewarm water and that you are not using so much cleanser that you accidentally leave residue behind. Let me tell you, you would be surprised if you are someone who washes your face at the sink and you rinse your face in the sink. It is the most inefficient way to rinse your face, and you will be surprised. You end up many times, or it might be the case for you, I should say, that you're getting cleanser residue trapped on the surface of the skin and little nooks and crannies it's not getting rinsed off, like back here or around your eye. And that little focus, if left on cleanser residue, can really aggravate your skin. When we're talking about an impaired barrier on our hands, guess where that's gonna wind up? Underneath your ring. So don't wash your hands with a ring on. It will trap cleanser residue and compromise your skin barrier. You don't need these harsh mechanical scrubbing devices to bathe with. Those are not necessary. And if you have an impaired barrier, they're gonna make it worse. Step number 4 is where a lot of people were not taught this because it's not really intuitive, but you want to make sure you're using your moisturizer strategically. The time to make sure, if any time, to make sure that you put the moisturizer on is immediately after bathing or washing the face, after you have either stepped out of the shower or rinsed the face off of cleanser residue. Pat dry the skin of like visible soaking water, and then while the skin is still a bit damp, that's when you really want to put moisturizer on. Not because the moisturizer won't work if you ever put it on dry skin. No, the skin doesn't have to be damp in order for the moisturizer to work. When the skin is damp, it needs moisturizer because it's inclined to lose a lot more water. And therefore, that's really when you want to take advantage of your moisturizer to lock that hydration in. It will really help with getting the barrier back on track. You may need to, however, reapply frequently throughout the day to address barrier needs. Now, if we're talking about an impaired barrier on the face, guess what? Your sunscreen is also a moisturizer. It will also help to reduce transepidermal water loss. So it should motivate you to reapply your sunscreen throughout the day. If your face starts to feel at any point during the day like it's tight, it's dry, go ahead and apply a little sunscreen. It will moisturize the skin, lubricate the skin surface, cut down on flakes, and protect you from damaging ultraviolet radiation rays that slow down the healing and recovery process and damage components of the skin barrier. Step number 5 is to assess your application technique. How you apply products matters. Avoid rubbing the skin with a harsh towel or a pad that you're rubbing the skin with. Pat dry the skin. Pat in products or gently rub them in with your finger pads in a circular motion rather than getting a harsh pad and rubbing. I love toner pads, okay, because I do find that they allow for a more efficient application of liquid-based products like toners, and they're typically used for exfoliating toners, so it's really nice to use a pad to more precisely apply the liquid exfoliant on the skin without it running into delicate eyelid skin territory. However, if you take those pads and you rub on the skin surface, not only are you supposed to be taking a break from the exfoliating acids, but this rub gonna further leave your skin raw and red. Light pressure and be cognizant of mechanical irritation, friction on the skin. If you've got an impaired barrier on the body, also be mindful of tight clothing, especially under the arms and in between the thighs. That really can compromise barrier integrity. I already alluded to this when we were talking about cleansing, but you do really want to be mindful of your water exposures. Water is necessary for life, but man, if you leave it on the skin, it can really do a number on your skin barrier. And so anytime you can, try and cut down on unnecessary water exposures. Now, we already talked about reducing the frequency of washing your face. Be mindful that you take advantage of being in the shower to go ahead and wash your face then, so you don't have to get out and wash your face. It makes no sense to do that. Just wash it in the shower. But let's talk about some other situations in your day-to-day life where you need to protect your skin from water exposures. Probably one of the more common is going to be your hands. You want to make sure you are wearing gloves anytime you need to do some kind of wet work, because the frequent re-wetting of your hands is a big aggravating factor in hand dermatitis, hand dryness, that maceration, the moisture. And here's a little sneaky thing about it too, is that you dry your hands, but usually you're in a hurry because you're at work. And so you dry the palms of your hands and the backs of your hands, but you forget to dry those little spaces between your fingers, and they love to trap water plus cleanser residue, hand wash residue. Not to mention that stuff, if you're wearing the ring, gets trapped up under there. You've got water under occlusion plus detergent, friction. Whew. In addition to keeping your showers short and trying to reduce the number of times that you cleanse a day, also be really cognizant of how much water you are touching. Always moisturize soon after the skin has gotten wet. Say when you do have to wash your hands, make sure you towel dry thoroughly the hands, patting, not rubbing aggressively, and then you put moisturizer on right away. Another one I already touched on, but it really helps here a lot in a way that people don't realize, and that is you want to be protecting your skin from the sun. Ultraviolet rays, they do damage the integrity of skin's outermost protective layer. We know that wearing sunscreen can help with barrier integrity and cut down on dryness and irritation. Plus, it's in a moisturizing base, so you get a 2-for-1 there, but also lean into physical protection. This is something you may not deal with in the upcoming months since we're getting into the warmer time of the year. However, if you live somewhere that is cold and you have those harsh winter winds, that will really dry out and aggravate your skin barrier quite a bit. And you can use all of the occlusive balms that they make, and those will be helpful to a certain extent, but even better to get a nice thick scarf to protect your face. Same holds true with, of course, we said protecting our hands with gloves when we're doing any kind of wet work, protecting our body from not only exposures that compromise the barrier, but also protect from ultraviolet radiation with clothing. And the other advantage of clothing is that it helps to really allow for moisturizer that's on the skin to stay there. For example, at nighttime, I will often recommend for people who are dealing with an impaired barrier on the body side or the hands to not only lube up the skin aggressively with a thick, greasy ointment like plain petroleum jelly, but lock it in with a cover, a glove, a sock, some lightweight breathable cotton pajamas with long pants and long sleeves to really allow that lubricating protective ointment to not get all over your bed sheets, get all over your chair, but rather stay in place on the skin and lock that hydration in. Plus you have the mechanical barrier for further transepidermal water loss. Any water that might try and escape from your skin, it has a better chance of staying in place if you have long pants and long sleeves, gloves and socks on. Finally, you are going to need to be patient. Barrier repair can take some time depending on what all is going on. Sometimes even a few weeks. If it's taking many months, however, I do strongly encourage you to see a board-certified dermatologist to really figure out what is going on. There are a lot of underlying skin conditions that can lead to barrier impairment, but actually be actively driving a skin rash, like a fungal infection, for example. Maybe you're allergic to something that you're not even realizing you're coming in contact with. It's some obscure ingredient in something like those little silica packets, for example, that come in things to keep them dry. Some people are allergic to stuff in that, and it's like, whoa, that's what was causing my eczema? Okay, gonna avoid those. I've revamped my whole skincare routine, and you're telling me this was the thing that was gonna heal everything, just avoiding those? Yeah, surprise, surprise. So give it time. Generally speaking though, within a few weeks of staying consistent, being mindful of things that assault the barrier and avoiding those things will get back on track. Here are some common mistakes that delay barrier healing. Constantly switching up your products, your routine, adding new treatments too quickly, over cleansing, and trying to fix the problem with more skincare products. Gentle reminder, many skin problems resolve on their own with zero intervention. Just leaving them alone, they will go away. If only annoying people were like that, right? It's really true. Sometimes less is more, and that's certainly the case when it comes to an impaired barrier. In summary, if your skin barrier is damaged, you likely do not need to buy buy a new product. While there are some great barrier creams out there, I'll list some down below in the description box. Actually, if you are looking for a good basic rich moisturizer to help you out here, but you generally do not need to add new products or new serums, and removing products that contain irritants is more important. Keeping the routine simple will help you out the most. Basically, support your skin with what you already have, pared down. That approach is more often than not going to be a lot more helpful than trying to change things up and spinning your wheels. All right, y'all, I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Now, if you want to know about some little micro habits that you can make that really make a visible difference in the texture of your skin, you're going to want to check out my video on that. It's another no product purchase required tips video. So check that one out next if you really want to move the dial on how your skin looks, but you're not looking to buy anything. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If so, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.